do. And we're live. So, welcome back to the second episode of Close Up with Jesus. I'm not alone today, because today
We got a burnt lobster.
he's Burnt Lobster Kelton has returned. He is no longer sick, which is awesome, but I feel
Yeah.
sick now, which is less awesome.
Yeah, tradesies.
Tradesies. Whoop. Um, uh, Before we get into the lesson today, no one left a comment on the last episode, so we picked our own. That's what's going to happen if no one leaves a comment. So if you want your questions answered, leave a comment. But today we're going to ask for viewer discretion, because if you are like 10 or below, heck, even like 12 or below, please don't watch this. It's not for you. This is for mature audiences, mainly for teenagers, but it also is applicable to adults, because some adults also fall prey to this.
So ours, like he was saying, viewer discretion, whatever. It's a little hush hush in the church. It's not something people like talked about really like openly. And so whenever you try, and really it's modern culture that has caused that. But the question is, what does the Bible say about sex?
There we go. Oh, click the scene 2. Aha!
Yeah. So what does the Bible say about sex? So let me pull up the verse on my phone real quick. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 6 through 9. I'm pulling up another verse for later. Let's see, here it is.
We're going to be looking at these two verses today, 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 11, and Mark 10, 6 through 9. If you guys want to go ahead and read that while he's finding the one verse, because we're going to be referencing these today.
Yeah. All right. So, did I not pull up? Did I pull up Mark? Yeah, Mark's up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. So in Mark 10:6, that verse is just basically talking about how God made the two sexes, but from the beginning of the creation, God made them male and female. And this is Jesus talking here. It's supposed to be in red, but it's online, so
It's a little weird.
But it is Jesus talking. And then in Mark 10:7, it continues to say, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife." And that word cleave means to join, and in three different senses. It's joining, and a lot of our information that I got is from Michael Todd, because he's amazing, and
Awesome dude.
I love his energy. But he was saying how the word to cleave means to join in three different contexts. Joining spiritually, where is it? Sorry. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually. The three different ways. So when you have, in our culture, we've started a whole entire thing of hookup culture.
Yeah, hookup
right.
culture. Yeah.
And where you're just going around and having a bunch of sex with anybody you want, basically.
Anybody and everybody.
Which is not necessarily
It's not
the
good.
best.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
So, yeah.
There's also this thing, and we can see right there. I just want to touch on this. We're not going to delve into this today, but this is something I want to touch on. Right there in Mark 10:6, it says, "But from the beginning of the creation, God made them male and female." He made Adam and Eve. He didn't make Adam and Steve. Having relations with another man or a woman with a woman is not good.
God's intention.
It's not God's intention. It's not holy. It's unholy.
And going back to Mark 10:6, you can go all the way back to Genesis 1:28, and it says, "And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it." So, from the beginning, God even saw this as, he created sex, and he meant it as an intention for good and to reproduce. not for your own enjoyment and or whatever you want to call it. You know,
No pleasure.
yeah, your own pleasure.
Yeah.
And whenever you are having sex with multiple people, you'll never really be whole because you've joined with so many people that they now have like this part of you that you can't get back, and you're sharing it with
It's like a
one and one.
Yeah, who's that Kleenex? Just occurred to me. This is you. This is you before you've had sex. You have sex. A piece of you is gone. Don't eat the Kleenex. A piece of you is gone. That piece of you is normally replaced by the other person. That's God's intention.
Mm-hmm.
When you are just doing hookup, you don't have that person no more. A piece of you is now gone. You have given that piece of you away. You can't get it back.
And like
if you
going
keep-
back,
keep
to
doing
the-
it.
right? You lose more and more of yourself,
More and more yourself until
and you'll never get those pieces.
you're
back.
not whole.
And you can go back to the verse where it's talking about, it says, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh." That's what he was talking about there with the two pieces of paper, or my paper and his tissue, where it was covering up the part that was taken because it wasn't taken, it was an intention of joining. In fact, Michael Todd was talking about it whenever he was talking about it, was that used to, before there was all this, like, what are they called? Before there was weddings, that's what it is, weddings. I was thinking
Yeah,
like
marriage.
marriage,
Yeah.
but like I couldn't think of the event name.
Yeah.
So it's weddings.
Happens.
Before there was weddings, the way God would see them as joined was whenever those two people had sex, because they are now one.
Mhm.
You know,
It was a holy act.
yeah, it was a holy act, and it was more ceremonial than anything.
That's why it was so important to be loyal, and why we saw in I can't remember the address, but when the people came to stone the harlot, and Jesus stepped in front and said, "Stop," it was because there was just such strictness around sex, because it was such a very holy and important thing.
Yeah,
That's how you showed God, hey, me and this other person over there, we're now one person.
yeah.
We've joined together.
Yeah, and it's whenever you do with just that one person that God has set for you in your life and stuff, it's a whole. Well, I don't know, obviously, but
We
it's
don't know.
it's a whole lot. I've heard a lot of people say it's a whole lot more pleasurable than if you were just going around and having sex. Because I mean, you look at people who are depressed and stuff like that. Some of them have had sex before and are continuing to do it, and they don't know why they feel terrible.
Well, it's because they're
And
trying
that
to.
could be a reason.
It's because you have this hole inside. Oh, Not of the camera frame. It's because you have this hole inside and you're trying to fill it. And a lot of people do different things to try and fill it. But one of the big things, and especially in our generation, is sex. Is just have as much as you can, as long as you can, to try and fill up that hole. And they know it's not going to fill it up, so then they get sad and depressed when it doesn't get filled.
Right.
Because the only thing that can fill it is Jesus.
And back to the verses again, Mark 10:7-9 is saying, "So that and they twain shall be one flesh, so then they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder." Meaning, let's not, like a man, you should not let a man tear this apart. No man or woman can separate you two now. You are one. You have made a covenant with God and your spouse that can't really be broken. Y'all are sharing with each other physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And when you are having sex out of marriage, that means you're saying, "I do," like at a wedding, but without the covenant, the promise that God has given you. And like we've already said, sex is very perverted nowadays in the sense of it's not God's intention anymore. Like, that's just what culture has
Right.
turned it into.
There's I looked this up earlier. There is this philosopher from way back. He was Catholic, so yeah. But he had a very good idea. a lot of people will say, well, I'm struggling with these urges. It's these hormones inside my body. Well, there's a purpose for that. And this philosopher named Thomas Aquinas, I think is how you pronounce his last name, he came up with a thing called natural law. And some of you probably heard this, but it is a thing where, basically boiled down, very simplified, is where all the urges God gives us are good. All the urges he's giving you are good things. It's whenever they become perverted and abused that it's no longer a good thing.
Right.
I'd like to say it a lot when people say, well, God made weed, so why can't I smoke weed? Because it comes from God's green earth. Well, everything on earth is good, but you're not using it the way God intended it. You're abusing it.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this you won't be sober-minded, is a lot of the verse I like to go to back and says beauty of sober mind.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to these verses right here. Of, let's go ahead and read full chapter so we can get
The whole thing.
All right. So it's 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 12, essentially. It says, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? But not deceived, neither fornicators, nor adulterers, nor idolaters," I read that backwards, but it's fine, "nor effeminate, nor abusers, or themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God." Now, right there, that has me, probably Ryan, and anybody else that would be reading just that part of the verse freaking out, right? But then whenever you continue reading, it says, "And such were some of you. But ye are washed, but ye are sanctified, but ye are justified in the name of the Lord Jesus and by the Spirit of God." So that's like he was talking about. I forgot your exact point, but you can go with the verse because you know what it means. "All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any."
Mm-hmm. That right there, that verse is awesome. Because that verse right there is literally saying, all things are from me. Because he made all things, we know that. And he's saying all things are lawful for me. So all things are lawful unto me, and all things are lawful for me, but I'm not going to be brought under the power of any. So he made these things, they're for him, they are good for you and him, but they're not, the power he created is not over him.
And like,
Also, sorry.
no, you're good.
For those of you who might be wondering, I had to look this up myself because I was a little confuzzled. When it says effeminate in the verse, 1 Corinthians 6, verse 9, it says nor effeminate. Basically, it is saying, because the definition of effeminate is having characteristics and ways of behaving traditionally associated with women and regarded as inappropriate for man. It's referring to trannies. Putting it bluntly, it's for all the guys who want to act very feminine and want to dress up as women do.
And you can be a like feminine male, but that doesn't make you a female.
It doesn't make you a female.
That's not how,
It's not how life works.
But anyways,
We're probably offended like a bunch of people, but I don't care.
it,
It's biblical. Deal with it.
we
It's
just
right
showed
there.
you, yeah. But those verses right there are telling you like God will help change your habits.
Mhm.
Like, yes, you are a sinner. You do all these awful things. But you know what? You can draw the line in the sand and depict where you want it, like where you're going to stop. Because you don't have to do that stuff anymore. Jesus can help you out of it, you know? And some churches say you need to change yourself before God can change you. But that's just not how the church works. The church is supposed to be more like a hospital.
Yeah, church isn't a place for the healthy; it's a place for the sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
this guy gets it.
Oh, yeah. I get sick of way too much, bro. And another thing is, like, yeah, we have, like, all of our natural
Urges,
tendencies, whatever, is from God. But everything is good in proportion, right? It's not like too much of anything can kill you, basically. Like, literally. And
As science has said, everything gives you cancer
yeah,
in too much proportion. Also, sorry if y'all keep hearing me cough. I keep trying to turn off my microphone before it happens, but as I said earlier, not feeling too hot. I have this weird cough that's been going on all day. So sorry if you hear that. There was something I was going to say before that.
it'll probably come back to you.
Yeah, it'll come back to me later.
Yeah.
Um,
And like another thing is like what you were talking about with our tendencies. God gave us the free will, but we also that means we have the choice to do it or not to.
yeah.
You know.
For God gave us free will for a reason. And that reason is to be able to choose to love Him, because He already has people who love Him. He has the angels. He created them. They love Him forever, unconditionally. It just happens. He wanted someone to choose to love Him, though, so He made us. So therefore, for Him to give us free will, there has to be the opposite choice. So for every time you are tempted with sin, do not think there is no way out, because there's always, 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 always. Look at me. Always, there is always a way out. Always. No, for real though, there is always, God's always going to give you a way out. Whether you choose that way out is up to you.
Yeah, like it's crazy. It's like, I mean, you can be about to be doing a sin that you're just like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. God, please give me a way out. Your phone rings. You're like, talk right now. You know, so you put the phone away and you go do what you were about to do. That was God probably giving you a way out
Dude,
just now.
literally that's happened to me. Well, I didn't hang up. I was like,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. But when you do take that way out, it feels a whole lot better than
Yeah.
not.
Because that's what it was. Well, not quite what it was, but we all know who Joseph, well, I shouldn't say all. Most of us know who Joseph is in the Bible. Joseph, he has the dreams. He becomes a slave. He gets put in, what's his name?
Pharaoh?
No, not Pharaoh, the guy before him. Potiphar. He gets put in Potiphar's house, and his wife tries to have sexual relations with him. And I don't know if y'all know, but Potiphar is probably of noble status, so his wife probably looks very pretty, especially back then.
Wait, who was it that was looking? Oh, I should have looked at these verses. Who was it that was looking at the dude's wife through the ceiling?
David.
David.
Looking
yeah.
at Bathsheba.
Bathsheba. In the bath.
Yeah, and here, thank you.
You're welcome.
We have the two, I keep moving out of the camera's frame. We have the two polar opposites. Jeez. The two polar opposites. We have David over here, who looks at sin, goes, I know I shouldn't be doing this. I know where where the women bathe, but I'm going to come over here anyways. I'm going to look, and I'm going to lust
He's
after
going to
this.
tempt himself and then get himself into trouble.
While over here we have Joseph, who as soon as sin comes upon him, as soon as Potiphar's wife is like,
Puts those
let's
blinders
do this,
on. Puts those blinders on.
he
like
goes,
I thought.
no, and he runs. Like, he doesn't stick around. He doesn't go, no. He tries to convince her. No, he sprints. He leaves.
He left so fast he accidentally jumped into slavery.
He flees. He jumps into jail. He fled from sin. That's what we need to do. We don't need to stick around. Because I'm sure David, it took a couple times. Like, first time he goes, oh, this is where the women bathe. Okay, let's not go back over there. Well, he comes back again and again and again. Sin is slow. It will creep up on you. It's not, sometimes it's immediate, like it happens to you in the spur of the moment. And other times it's slow. It's like, oh, they get right here, and then Kelton starts getting uncomfortable, so he moves back a little bit. Just enough to where you're not uncomfortable anymore. Then it moves back. Oh, he's getting kind of uncomfortable. Move back a little bit. And sometimes it'll take a long time, but eventually, if you're not careful, it's going to get you.
And
That
then
was
you'll
weird.
get comfortable with it.
And he'll be comfortable with it, and that's not good because it's sin, and you don't need sin in your life because that'll hinder your walk with God greatly and just your normal life.
Yeah.
Because sin, what's that verse? It's lust.
The devil. Oh, you're talking about the 3 ways the devil can.
No. When lust is finished, it bringeth forth sin, and when sin is finished, it bringeth forth death. I can't remember the address.
Yeah.
I'll find it in a minute.
There's another one about how sin can destroy your life. The devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And what is it? It's kill your spirit, steal your joy, and destroy your family. Yeah.
We talk about that at youth on Friday.
We talk about that at youth almost every night.
Almost
Right.
every night. Because it's important to remember, because
Yeah.
that's,
And
the
it's a
devil's
very
not
good
your
term.
friend.
No.
He wants to act like your friend. He's going to be over here and be like, hey, buddy.
And what's crazy is the devil knows the Bible a whole lot better than you do. Like,
He's going to, because
he will manipulate it.
this happens. You will do sin, and you'll be like, why did I do that? That was so stupid. Why did I do that? And then you'll go to church and you'll get convicted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you go back and you do it again, because the devil goes, it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Don't, it's fine.
Hey, look at this verse. This says it's fine.
It says it's
fine.
fine. 'Cause
But
the
it's out of
devil-
context.
He will always do this. He's the father of lies. He will twist and turn and bend whatever he needs to keep you from walking with Jesus. I'm going to go find that verse because it's bothering me.
Okay. But like, back to like the topic of what we're talking about here fully is sex, right? And how our modern culture has turned it into something else and all that. Well, whenever you look at something like a fire, right? Like a forest fire, it's destroying everything, right? It's sin. But God intended everything for good, right? So the same fire that can kill is the same fire that heats your home. And it's the container that depicts what it's doing, right? So the difference is, well, I already said that, is it's container. The container for sex, as Michael Todd puts it, is marriage. That is what God intended, is for you to have sex in marriage. Because one, you can look at statistics. I don't know the actual numbers, but you look at families that aren't married or anything like that, and a whole bunch of them, white, black, Asian, whatever, doesn't matter, grow up to be criminals because they grow up without a dad in the home, or they grow up without a mom in the home. Because, I mean, without both, there's plenty of good people that have only grown up with one parent. But that doesn't, you still look at the statistics.
Empirically, they're more likely to.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before to one of my gay friends, trying to be like, hey, not dogging you or nothing, but this is statistically this is what it means. He got mad at me for it, but whatever. I think it's around I think it was 68% more likely to go and commit crimes if you do not have a father in the home, if you were raised without a father. Just because what a father is he is the example of a masculine presence in your life. And in the Bible, he is the head of the household. He is the spiritual divining rod, if you will. You got the house, the mother is the roof right here, and the dad is the lightning rod right here, God's lightning strike it to go through, to reach everybody else in the house safely. You take out the lightning rod, well, now the mother is now the head of the household, and she has to be the spiritual divining rod, and she's not a lightning rod. She can't handle that as well. Not saying women can't, but it's a lot harder because it's just not their job. It's not their intended job. Also, I found that verse. It is in James chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. Well, 15, verse 14, I'm going to read as well, though. But every man is tempted, which he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. That's the key phrase right there. You are responsible. You cannot blame it on any